Hello and welcome everyone to the Activate Your 2023 Goals workshop. And it is time to not only plan your goals with me, but to create unwavering commitments to achieve them. Now, I love running a goal planning session like this to kickstart our year together, as I know that there are some ideas, some intentions really brewing in your mind at the moment. And with a fresh new year with fresh energy and a time for us to restart, right? A lot of what our dreams might be that maybe didn't get realized the year before, but we may want to strengthen our commitments and intentions towards achieving those new goals for a new year. But it's not only important to know what your goals are, it's also extremely crucial to understand what the aligned actions should be to truly achieve these goals and not for it to be a faraway dream, but something that's very doable for you to start taking action on today. Okay, so I want you to shut down everything in your computer, all your things that can be pinging at you when you are on this workshop, and try to be really present for yourself, a gift to yourself to really spend this time to dive deeper, to clarify for yourself your vision and your goals. And of course, I have the resources to help you do that here in the session, as well as the guided workbook. And this will be a really, really great time spent for your goals and for your vision for 2023. So as I mentioned, there is a guided workbook that's going to accompany this workshop. So if you're part of my email list and community, or you've signed up for this workshop, make sure to check back in that email to be using that as a guided piece of assignment and homework for you to follow through right after you're done this workshop. Or I'm actually going to be pausing in certain sections of this workshop so that you can take a pause, go into the workbook as you do the work, and then come back and play the rest of the workshop. Or you can watch the whole thing in one bite, because some people like to learn that way, and then do the workbook after the session. So for those of you that haven't met me or need a little refresher about who I am Lydia. I'm so glad you're here joining me today. And I'm the work reinvention coach and solopreneur strategist at my company called Screw the Cubicle. Since 2013, I've really supported people to transition out of their corporate jobs to create a freedom-based business that gives them the lifestyles they want. So my gift is to help you find your gifts so that you can build a business you love that's designed from your superpowers, your ideal version of meaningful work, and a pathway that truly honors your personality type. So I love the work of this excavating, right, people's purpose and getting the details from my clients' visions and dreams so that we can together create these strategically aligned goals for them to move forward with. And this is what I want to help you do in this workshop, to help you kickstart with some clarity today around your big goals for 2023, and use what you discovered today to ensure that these goals feel real rather than a nebulous dream that never takes shape. So you're going to want to stay on till the end of the workshop as well, where I'm going to be sharing one of the most powerful ways that I can support you in building a plan and a personalized roadmap to get you there. All right, let's start with some of the obstacles that might be in the way as you're planning your goals this year, right? So these are some of the most common challenges in achieving goals. A lot of this feedback I get from my own clients of what is in the way between where they are and where they want to go. The first piece is clarity, right? Really unsure of the goals to really go after, or they have too many goals or misaligned goals that are perhaps goals that they think they want based on looking at what other people are doing or what society expects of them or what they see as an example of success in social media, right? Or whatever, however we're absorbing that information. And it's not exactly aligned in their personal values and approach, and most importantly, the way they get to their own success, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to really construct meaningful goals that are right for you and specific to your version of success so that you're not trying to execute a plan that's not meant for you. The other challenge is consistency. So many people get real motivated and inspired in the beginning of January, right? The gyms are filled up. We go on a dry January mission. But when it comes down to having sustainable and sustaining change, a huge majority of people are not committed to the incremental efforts to bring a goal to life. I think the statistic is something like 93% of people fail after the first month of envisioning a goal because they don't have the right systems, the right mindset, right? And the right intentions to continue this habit change, to build the behavior change that's necessary to keep going, right? With improving and doing better things for the goals they want, and they fall flat after about a month or two of pursuing their goals. The other challenge is follow through, right? We are one of our, I think, the number one probably obstacle in the way, right? Our own fears and the fears that we have ripple effect into procrastination. We don't like doing things that we're not good at or is new to us. Some of us may have a bit of a sense of perfectionism. We don't like to fail. Right? We feel that if we fail, we might be judged too harshly, or we might judge ourselves too harshly. And that perfectionism can really block people from exploring, experimenting, and playing around with new visions when they're really stuck in this mindset of doing it right every single time. And then a huge part of, not being able to follow through is a lack of accountability. We can't always be the doer of the actions and also the one that cheerleads ourselves when the going gets tough. We need to build community. We need to build access to mentorship, right? That supports us to get out of our own way and be able to create much more bigger momentum, right? Towards doing hard things, right? And making those hard things feel less hard with more simplified techniques. And sometimes you may not be the one to do that for yourself. We may need a partner, accountability partner, a peer, a mentor, a community of people working towards the same goals in order for us to feel motivated every single week to keep following through. And the last challenge is priorities. We live in a very busy, hectic, chaotic society where everything demands our attention, right? And our schedules are more packed than ever before. So people may find a challenge in choosing their key focus because they have too many goals to want to deal with in one given time. They lack in the skill set for time management, or more importantly, the energy management every single day to be able to focus on their goals, or they're overcommitting to too many things in their lives, too many friendships, too many relationships, too many work hours, too many social events, right? Too many Netflix episodes every week, right? That when you're overcommitted in the sort of actions that don't lead to your goals, what you're also doing is you're undercommitting to the better actions that could lead you closer to your goals, right? So we're also going to talk about how we ground your decision, right, to honor going after these goals, not just in, again, a nebulous vision and dream, but setting some real rituals, practices, and habits in place so that the system is there to really support you in reaching your goals in a more easeful way. So what we're going to be covering today is, first, we're going to review your past year, what you've learned from your experiences and what's truly important to you. I do this exercise every single year because I change in what I want to prioritize. I change in what I value at times based on experience. And sometimes reviewing my year helps me to see what isn't working and what is working that I should be double downing on this year, right? Or ways that I have got to know myself in a deeper way that I want to explore more in my identity in a fresh new year. We're also going to talk about how to create a fresh vision that excites you for your new year. So I like to use this time as sort of a blank slate where whatever it is that you think you wanted last year, even if you achieved it or didn't achieve it, it's great to be in a neutral position as well when you start a new year to have a much more honest and genuine, approach in tapping into your heart, in your spirit, to listen to what it is that you may want to achieve and experience more of this year. We're going to be covering how to plan your goals in an effective way that supports you to activate them with real action. Now, as a minimalist at heart, I am someone that likes to simplify. I am someone that wants to do what's essential rather than doing all the things that makes me feel overwhelmed. So I'm going to teach you a technique, a very simple tool that's going to break down your goals to be a lot more doable. And finally, we're going to prepare your path for success by identifying those success habits that's going to actually lead you to results, because goals require some behavior and habit change, right? In order for you to become the person that's necessary to achieve those goals. So you can achieve those goals by not seeing, right, what is important for you to upskill on, to create time for, to be less distracted by, right, in order for you to welcome new visions and new realities into your world. So we first start with part one, a review, a little audit about our year, right? So before we start unraveling 2023, let's take a moment to look back over the last 12 months and get a little bit of clues as to what we've experienced and what it's lending a little bit of insight to us in what we want to do more of in this year. So clues from your past year, I like to start with this because there's some great questions for you to deep dive. This is in your workbook, by the way, and a few more questions, more than what I'm going to show here. But here's the gist of what I want you to, gain some insight on from yourself. What are you most proud of in the last 12 months? Now, we always start a new year kind of feeling regretful, beating ourselves up about what we did or didn't do last year. But I want you to start with a much more positive outlook because there are things, as tiny or as big as they are, that you can be proud of for yourself. It doesn't have to be this sort of big goal that you achieve, but even just a slight shift in your own mindset. Even if there's a moment in time last year that you were more courageous than you were before, or you were more vulnerable to receive help and support that you never would ask for before, right? There are things that if we dig a little further to give ourselves a little bit of kudos and a pat in the back of what it is that we may have achieved spiritually, mentally, physically, right? That we want to remember to take forth into the next year. Something that anchors us to know that I have made some micro changes in my life, right? I have the ability to make change through uncertainty. And if all of us have survived a pandemic, if all of us have survived some hard things in life, we definitely have moments to be proud of that we want to remember. What do you want to leave behind as you start a brand new year, right? There might be some limiting beliefs. There might be some stories you no longer want to believe about yourself or believe about success or what you believe is true, right? Back in the day that no longer serves you, right? What are the stories? What are the narratives? What are the belief systems that you want to leave behind so that you can start a brand new year with a new belief system that's going to construct a new identity for you to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish? What worked and what didn't work, and why? Right? When I look back at my year, it's easy to say, oh, that didn't work because it wasn't meant for me, right? We always say things like that. If I didn't work, then I wasn't meant to do that. It wasn't my purpose. And that can be a very stuck mindset that actually doesn't support us in becoming the versions of people we should be becoming, right? In order to achieve our goals. But we must take on sort of this investigative hat to be having a little bit of space between us and the thing that we didn't get to do, right? And analyze and audit a real reason why it didn't work. Sometimes it didn't work because we only tried once, and the minute we failed, we threw the baby out of the bathwater and didn't try to be creative to find other solutions. Sometimes things didn't work because you needed some help to fill the gaps of a skill set, a knowledge gap, right? That, hey, you don't know what you don't know, and you needed support. You needed mentors in order to know what the next steps are. That's not your fault. That is just, again, an analysis of what you need in order to get to the next chapter of success with that goal, right? And when something did work, whether it's something small, it could be something you're, again, very proud of doing or not doing. Let's say if you have some people-pleasing tendencies or boundaries issues, right? If you were saying a lot more no's last year than more yeses, that is something that worked. And how would that give you a clue in how you might want to use those healthier boundaries, right? Use the anti-people pleasing part of you to go forth in some of the dreams and goals that you have for 2023. And this is one of my favorite questions. What have I complained about the most in 2022, and how have I been complicit to the things I say I don't want in my life, right? Again, it's really easy to blame circumstances, other people, bad bosses, right? Opportunities that are given to us or not given to us, right? Sometimes we cannot control the external, right? But what we have full autonomy and personal control over is how we react to a circumstance, right? What we decide is our fate from that circumstance. And we do have a tendency at times, myself included, to have a bitch fest about what's happened to me, right? And spend more energy and time, sulking is what I would call sometimes my little breakdowns, right? Or giving too much airtime to the thing that didn't work and complaining about the thing rather than being in control of my own destiny, right? And at times that what I'm complicit to are the things that I decide not to do, that I sabotage myself to not do, right? The things that I believe in that aren't that are not helping me see the world in a much more positive light, that then makes me a perfectionist, makes me scared to release some imperfect things that I truly want to put out there, right? So what's that responsibility I'm taking, right, in myself, not to blame myself or shame myself or guilt trip myself, but to be acknowledging where I have the choice, right? That to not make that situation worse for myself, right? Where are ways that if I look back down the memory lane of 2022, where could I have stepped in and be in a much more, in a higher growth mindset or a much more supportive human to myself, right? That may have resulted in a different outcome, right? And knowing that can help remind you of some of the default behaviors we might do when we're scared, when we feel like failures, so that you're looking out for that and getting some support on that and not letting that sabotage your success for this year. And what do you find is still blocking you, right? Sometimes these things happen over and over again. It's just something that seems to be a stuck point for you. At times, it could very much be a belief system. I have a lot of clients who have, grew up in the academic world, or they have huge PhDs and masters around their field. And one of the things that's blocking them is this area of credibility, that they can't do something new unless they had 8 years of education, or that they need a piece of paper that proves to them that they're validated, right, by others in order to pursue a dream, right? And that block can absolutely affect, right, what they do and don't do. And sometimes this is something to get real honest about, so that we can really move through that with some support through therapy, through talking to others, right? So that no longer becomes the narrative that dictates our next step, right? So I'm sure you know what are those repeated patterns of thought, of feelings, of experiences that you do or think, right, or behave in, that just seems to come up over and over again. And you know what? You're feeling a little bit sick of it. You're a little tired of yourself thinking those things. And those are the very things I want you to note down. So I want you to take a pause here, right, to reflect. Go to part 1 of the workbook in the section called Review Your Year. So you're welcome to pause this video, okay, and then go ahead and work on part 1 and begin your reflection. Or you can keep staying as I go through to the next section and continue part 1 later on after this workshop is over. All right, part 2, after you have done a little bit of an auditing of your year, I want you to start grounding your intentions by choosing a word that's going to anchor you and guide your focus and energy for the rest of the year. Now, I really love word exercises or a theme for the year, because that helps me to really keep this word close to my heart. I lean on this word to make my decisions, to say yes or no to certain things that align with that word, and also being more detailed about what that word means to me can really help me to remember what's the thing that is more aligned with the way I want to operate, right? I'm a true believer that everybody's path to success, wealth, purpose, right, and fulfillment and happiness in life is an algorithm that's going to be very, very personal to you. I can't look externally for those answers, right? And so when I think about my word of the year, this really encompasses, what I want my life to be about, what my value systems are, a very natural way for me to operate. That's my authentic self. And if I was to honor this word, what would I do differently in the aspects of my life and my work that's going to be, the way to really, truly, truly be my own intentions and my own personal desires, right? So in 2022, my word for the year was effortless, right? And effortless was an energy I wanted to feel in my business because I came from a long line of type A, a type A family. We were, Asian immigrants to Canada. And what I was taught as a narrative for my life for success is you have to sweat blood and tears to get to success. And so that narrative has been haunting me for years. Even when I was the most successful in my business, things never felt effortless. It felt like like I had to, really go into healing, and rest every time I launch a project. And it always felt like it's a huge heaviness every time I'm about to do something that's like launching a new program, right? Or doing big things with my business. It always comes with the idea of effortful, right? And so effortless is the part that I want to believe in, that my success equates to actually more ease, right? So the more ease I feel, the more flow I feel in my work and my business, right, the more successful I will become. I want that definition to be super true in my life. And so having this word to anchor my actions in 2022 supported me in deciding which priorities will lead me to living out this value, not just defining it, but how do I really see outcomes and results in this theme of a word. And so it helped me to do is really understand, when I looked at all the ideas and goals and, long lists of things I wanted to do, right? My to-do list, it was easier for me to go what felt effortless and what felt something I was trying too hard or trying to prove myself to others in order for me to achieve it, right? So when I look at that word and then look at the list of to-dos, it was very clear to me, for example, what was in my zone of genius? What was the thing I had fun doing? What felt like a creative expression of who I was? And then those were the strategies I prioritized instead of these other harder strategies that I think was something around, right, the narrative of proving my worth to others. And so that really helped me to also create rituals and systems that help me experience more of this word in my business, right? So not only did it help me to choose my priorities and my goals, it also helped me to go, all right, reverse engineering how I want to make this goal happen. That's also going to feel effortless. What do I need to set in place in the way that I'm operating in my schedule, in the way that's systemizing things to be effortless so that I'm not beginning from scratch every time I want to launch a project, right? So in 2022, I spent a huge amount of time creating my schedule in a way where I wasn't working Mondays and Fridays, and I literally only worked Tuesdays to Thursdays. And sure, I might work on things in my business to plan ahead for some of those freer days, but I certainly didn't have client days or any sort of big launches or any, content production days except for those 3 days. And I was so fearful for clients being mad at me or me not working enough, right? But in 2022, I believed I made the most money with the least effort, right? And that is my beacon and metric of success, right? Not about the number of dollars in my bank account, but how much energy and angst it took to get there, right? So I worked about an average of 20 hours a week, right, in 2022, which I never did before. And that was only possible because I created these schedules, these rituals, and systems and processes that really supported me in working less, right? Choosing one thing to focus on instead of 5 things for the year, right? And putting together a back-end system and support systems of project managers, for example, that will help me to be able to make things happen in my business in the most simplified way, in the most easeful way, so that I can spend more time living my life rather than complicated systems that I see potentially going on with my own colleagues, right? So a word can be so powerful right? In anchoring our intentions, but most importantly, choosing the right action, right? That aligns with this word so that we're not distracted by other shiny things or other misinterpreted versions of success that we think we want. So I want you to take a pause yourself right now to reflect on what is your word of the year that gives you a theme of the year as well. Go to part 2 of the workbook, and the section name is Ground Your Intentions. And again, there's some resources there to help you find your word as well if you can't come up with a word on your own. And again, that word doesn't have to be, the word to rule them all, right? You might change your word halfway through the year. You might change the word after you try it on for size and see if it works or not for you. Everything is flexible, but I want you to trust your instincts at this very moment and go ahead and ground your intentions by choosing your word of the year. So pause this video or keep coming with me and continue this workshop together. All right, that takes us to part 3. After you have grounded your intentions and defined the year, your word of the year, where you understand the details of what it means to live out that word in the way you're operating in your life and business, I want to start going into this creative envisioning, right, of 2023 for you by curating a fresh vision, right? What is the experience you want to have this year that's anchored from your values or anchored from the word that you've chosen that is, of course, in alignment with your values as well. So choosing goals that are meaningful for you are super important because that's the thing that's actually going to keep you motivated when the going gets tough, right? Because nothing is going to feel easy all the time. Anything worthwhile pursuing feels a little hard because you're pushing the edges of who you are. You're pushing the edges of your comfort zone, right? And so when we want to keep sticking to things, our goals need to feel like it's something that's defined truly for the lives that we want to lead, who we want to become, who we want to, or what we want to contribute to in the world, right? That feels super meaningful for us. So I want you to sort of have some horse blinders on at the moment, to not look at what your peers are doing, look at what I'm doing, look at anyone that even you respect in business are doing at times, because they are living a different life. They have different resources, they have different desires, they have different versions of success. And I want you to trust yourself that you have the answers, that you understand what it is that makes you happy, right? And what's important to you. So when we look forward, I want you to ask yourself a question, these following questions. What does success mean to me? And how do I want to define it, right? What does success mean to me and how do I want to define it? So if your goal is to become successful, right, as a general goal in your career, your life, right, the first thing you should ask yourself is what success means to you. Is it a dollar amount in your bank account or a particular job title or status? Or does it mean that you might have more freedom or that you create independent work that gives you more autonomy over your time and your energy, right? What is your definition of success? Now, knowing what your career and personal success looks like to you is helpful for developing effective goals regarding your own future. So how I, for example, define success is that, yes, I have an enough number of how much I want to make every year that helps me to retire early, that helps me to live a good life, that helps me to take a holiday every 2 months. And most importantly, what success means to me is that I have the time and spaciousness to have great relationships with my family, with my friends, with my loved one, with my partner, where I don't have to choose between working and being able to go and, help my 80-year-old aunt who lives in Malaysia that needs to be in a home at the moment, right? I don't want to have to choose between making money and doing something that's important like that because I value relationships as a priority. Of a meaningful life, right? So my business, my work, what's that enough number needs to be able to give me that spaciousness to do those or make those choices, right? And that's what's important to me. And what do you want to be brave to do in 2023, right? At times, we may not feel brave right away, but what do we desire to be brave around to do? And sometimes it's not about a business idea or being brave to just launch a business, for example, but it's being brave to share my voice, being brave to know that the years of experience I have is good enough to start my next chapter of my body of work, even if it's something I've never done before. But I trust that my experience in the work world, my experience as a human living my life, right, is good enough to help me pursue the next thing. All right. What is the thing you want to be more courageous to do, to feel, to believe in about yourself that you know could really open up the doors to bigger things in the new year? And which life or business initiatives do you want to prioritize, right? There might be lots of things that we have in our bucket list of what's a good life, but when you think about, the things that you've been thinking about, what's been something you want to pursue for years on end, right? What you've been listening to, if you were to listen closely to your heart of hearts, right? What's important for you to bring forth into 2023 that is super important? That's the thing you can't stop talking about. It's the thing that keeps you up at night. It's the thing you get frustrated about not starting and beginning every single year. And I want you to really think about how you want to think about or construct that vision for yourself, but also knowing that you can only probably do 2 or 3 things this year. What would you love to prioritize, right? My relationships, for example, is a big value, right, in anything I do. If I don't have relationships and meaningful friendships in my life, I am very unhappy. It doesn't matter about how much money I have in the bank, right? So that's always top priority for me. Right? And then secondarily is my body of work, which is my expression of my purpose. I want to do good work. I want to do intentional, meaningful work, right? That is important for me. So I don't want to just take on something that just makes money. I want to spend time evaluating what is the thing I'm proud to do that really impacts a cause I care about, right? So when I define career success as a secondary priority, I want to detail that about, what that really looks like for me as well. So I want you to think about these initiatives for your personal life and your business desires or dreams, right? And what do you think comes first? What's next? What's third? And where do you want to be this day, 1 year from today? Right? How do you want to, what do you want to feel? What do you want to experience, right? That makes you feel that you've made progress in the dreams that you care about, right? And that you felt that you took some bold steps to not only define your goals, but to take momentous action towards these goals, even if they're not exactly the metrics that, you might meet right away. That's okay. But you feel proud that you've taken these steps to do. So by next year, 2024, this exact date, how do you want to be describing your life to your friends and family? What do you want to say that you're most proud of doing? So we can stop here to take a pause again to reflect. This is going to be part 3 of your workbook, which is called A Fresh Vision. And you can pause this exercise or this video, and begin the exercise or continue along with this workshop and then do the next parts of this section together with me. All right, that leads us to part 4. After you have thought about the vision, thinking about what is the thing that's going to feel like happiness to you, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What's your version of contentment and joy, right? Then I want you to think about some mini goals that you can activate some momentum around. Now, you don't need to know sort of the end all of all goals. It's like exactly how much money I'm going to be making with my business, or exactly where I'm going to be, whether I quit my job or not and have a successful business, for example, right? But I want you to really think about some small goals that maybe you can complete in the first 90 days. Maybe it's a step towards the right direction, right? And I want us to break down some of these goals together so that you can make your goals real and give your vision some shape rather than it being something too large, too indigestible, right, for you to actually start to complete. So my belief is that focusing on movements or progress versus big goals is the way to go, because as humans, we get discouraged easily when something feels too hard. Our brain just can't seem to encompass such a big vision and goal. And then what happens is we talk ourselves out of it, right? We talk ourselves out of it because of that self-doubt, because where I'm at the moment is just way too far from where I'm dreaming to go. So what is a better approach is to construct progress goals, right? To help you gain a small momentum towards your bigger goals. And they are actually goals you can control. right? When we only think about outcomes, like I want to make 100K in my business by the end of the year, that isn't helpful for what you actually need to do right now to just reach your first 1K a month, right? And so we want to reverse engineer, what does it take from where I'm at today, right now, that I can make commitments towards, things that I can control in my behavior, where I spend time and energy right now, that's actually going to be opening up the next door, up to maybe 30 doors for me to get to the bigger goal. But what is that first few doors I actually have to open and create habits around in order for me to achieve the bigger goal by the end of the year? So here are some examples of progress goals versus a big goal that's indigestible and gives you like acid reflux, right? For example, if you want to write a bestseller, write a book, right? Something you've been dreaming about. A progress goal isn't to write a bestseller. Well, a progress goal is to be really good at being a writer, right? So a progress goal might be to write for 3 hours a week with no conditions set for what it has to be, but just get into the practice of being a writer, because that is the actual thing that's going to help you become the next book bestseller, right? Let's say your goal is to get visible in your business. You want to start getting clients, right? And build some brand awareness around your new projects. Well, a progress goal that you can actually control a behavior around is pitching to 5 podcast shows every week. Now, this is what I did, for example, because I love audio. I love talking. I hated doing social media when I first started my business. So one of the things that I started to do every single week consistently is pitching to new podcast shows that I can be a guest on. And that's what really helped me to activate my own business, to, be seen on different platforms, different other people's audience network, right? Where a little old me who nobody knew, right, became someone visible for people that were looking for my services, right? And so instead of just saying, I want to just be the best brand ever that people find as a goal, what is it that I'm going to actually do, right? To gain that awareness or the visibility and build awareness for people to even know that I exist, right? And be able to share my story, be able to share my framework for what I do, so that more people are more engaged and warmed up to wanting to be my client. So that's a great progress goal with a measurable metric, right? 5 podcast shows each week. And doing that for 30 days, doing that for 60 days will get you to better results than just a big old goal of being visible, right? And maybe you have a personal goal, something like, I want to get fit and healthy. Again, too up there in the clouds, right? Of a statement that feels too big to swallow, right? But a progress goal is, I'm going to commit to 1 hour of yoga 5 days a week. I don't care if I do it at home. I don't care if I have to go to the studio. Whatever it is, I'm committing to 1 hour of yoga a week, because that's the thing that makes me feel good. That's the thing that makes me, feel not only the physical part of the workout that makes me fit, but I feel healthy in my mind and my soul. And choosing the right vehicle for fitness and health, right? That's fun, that is, something that aligns with your, who you are, that can also make you want to show up, right? Like for me, yoga, Pilates, things like that is much more things, hiking are things that I enjoy. So it's more likely that I will show up for those activities. But the minute I have to join my friend at CrossFit, or something that just does not make me feel, or I dread going to and makes me feel like, oh, not again, it's probably not the right vehicle for change for me, right? So picking the right strategy, picking the right thing that gets you to that is encompassing of fun, right? And in alignment with who you are, will give you better results to actually show up for it. And then after you get your progress goals, right, I want you to chunk down those progress goals to create tiny actions. And the tinier they are, the more feasible they are for you to create it. So, for example, if you've got a goal of attracting health coaching clients through Instagram this year, right, a process goal is that you might commit to, right, a measurable metric, 3 times of posting per week on Instagram, and then one tiny action that can activate the momentum towards your process goal is taking 1 hour right now to brainstorm content topics I'm passionate about. Right? If your goal is to create a healthy morning routine to start your day, a process goal is that, well, I'm going to stretch and listen to guided meditation for 20 minutes every weekday morning. And so what's one tiny action that's going to remind you to do that? It's going to make it easy and effortless for you to do that. Well, that might be to put your yoga mat by the bedroom door and prepare a YouTube meditation playlist ahead of time so that when you're groggy and waking up for in the morning, the first thing you do is going to be easy because it's pre-systemized, right? And then you're going to actually do it more often, right? So what's important to realize is that you go from a large goal to, right, reverse engineering to one measurable metric, right, that you can construct towards that goal. And then one tiny action that's very doable, very simple, that builds a habit to continuously show up for that process goal that you can actually activate right now. So I want you to go to part 4 of this workbook to go under the section of activate your goal so that you can practice 3 primary goals that you want to test out this year and construct those, process goals for that goal, construct a tiny action for that process goal so that you can start to see the details of what it is that you need to do, what you need to prepare in order to achieve that goal with unwavering commitment. You can pause this video right here to go to and do that exercise or continue with me into the next section. After you have created your 3 main goals for 2023, again, remain flexible. Goals might change. It's okay. We're just trusting your instincts and what you desire at this very moment in your life. I want you to think about how you can seal the deal. How do you make sure that these goals are going to be achievable for you? So this is the section I call preparing your path, which is a plan for success by setting up practices to support you to get there. So I'm a big fan of James Clear. If you haven't read the book Atomic Habits, completely life-changing, very practical tools and concepts to get things moving towards the right directions in terms of achieving goals. And one of my favorite quotes of his is, he says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. And I would even add, every inaction you take could also be a vote for the type of person you want to become, right? So be very intentional and conscious about what we do and don't do, right? In order to, to evaluate whether or not these behaviors, these things we spend time and energy on, right, are actually truly leading us to having the life that we want to have. So one of the things that I like to start with in terms of analyzing what's going to get in the way so I can prepare the path for better success is thinking about what can prevent me from reaching my goals, right? And one of the biggest things is unhelpful beliefs about yourself, right? What are the stories, the narratives, right? The belief systems that were passed on to you by family, by your community, right? All sorts of things that you no longer believe is serving you. And being able to dig into that and have some clarity around that and some tools to negotiate with yourself whenever there's a part of you that comes out to sabotage you, those are really important to note, right? So that when those beliefs come up, you can question them, you can challenge them, you can have different affirmations that will be much more in a positive alignment to a new version of who you are. Knowing how to work with those limiting beliefs, right, is going to give you the power to control them even better, rather than unconsciously seeing them come up, but not knowing how that it is even coming up, right? And not being able to be in the driver's seat of controlling those negative thoughts that might be preventing you from doing some big things in your life. Another thing that can prevent you from reaching your goals, overcommitment, right? Overcommitting to things that don't actually bring you closer to your goals. So you have to evaluate if the goals are worthy goals that are meaningful to you to achieve this year, right? What are some of the things I have to look at in my schedule, in my energy commitments, in what I'm saying yes to constantly that actually don't bring me closer to my goals? And some of those things for me, when I, think about some of my schedules or my schedule, is things like saying yes for coffee dates or, dinner plans with people that I don't really value in my life, but because I feel bad or I want to be liked, sometimes I can spend hours and hours every single month being at these events. And it takes a lot out of me, right? When I truly don't want to be doing that, I could be doing something more productive towards my own personal goals, right? So looking at your schedule, looking at who you're spending time with, where you're spending your time, right? Every single week, every single month, every single quarter, right? Can help you to see areas of where you want to eliminate those commitments so that you can create spaciousness for new commitments that actually bring you joy and fulfillment. And then what are you undercommitting to as well, right? Sometimes some of us are avoidance, where we might undercommit to things that will actually bring us closer to our goals, not asking for help for certain things, or undercommitting to a plan where the minute we failed at something, we don't continue, right? We undercommit to the persevering of our goals, all right? That might be something that comes up for you that could prevent you from reaching your own goals. And perhaps you don't have any concrete habits that support you with the consistency that's necessary to stay the course. This is one of the biggest parts that happen to a lot of clients that come to me because they know what they want a lot of the times, right? And what is missing is the accountability, the systems, the strategy, and most importantly, the habits to stay on track with those strategies that's going to make it effortless for them to keep showing up to do that week after week, right? And accomplishing some big goals. And so if you don't have systems, you don't have rituals, you don't have daily, weekly practices that helps you to show up and do the things that are necessary for your goals, of course, it's not surprising by the end of the year if we achieved our goals or not. And also not closing the gap, right? That can prevent you from reaching your goals, not closing the gap of skills or knowledge that may be missing for you, and doing the endless Google research, right? Looking at other people's businesses or ideas and trying to emulate that instead of really getting help in building your own business, for example, right? Or something that, is hard to do at times with where you're at and you don't know what you know, you don't know what you don't know, actually, right? And so seeking that help, learning, right, might be something that's been missing for you that you might want to have more of this year, right? More skill set, upskilling, right? Knowledge base and resources, education, or, right, hiring a mentor or an accountability buddy to help you get to your goals a little bit faster. And the most important one that can prevent you from reaching your goals is needing to be 100% certain about your goals to start or to continue persevering. Uncertainty, unfortunately, is the thing that we will all experience whenever we make big changes in our lives. It's completely unavoidable. And actually, uncertainty is kind of the threshold that we all have to pass in order to do bigger things. And so when we feel that if we don't have it 100%, all our ducks in a row in order for us to keep going, that can be very much the thing that blocks us from, the perfection or blocks us from getting towards our goals because of the perfectionism, right? But instead, what's going to be more helpful is taking these imperfect actions, learning from our mistakes, knowing that when we failed, it doesn't mean we're not meant to do it. It just means that there's a better way. I should be finding out to do this better. And what can I learn about myself? What can I learn about, how I rather do things in order to get to a better pathway to do that thing more effectively? So embracing exchanges is also really important, right? When we think about, as we talked about those obstacles in the way that of our dreams of, overcommitting, undercommitting, where do I have no rituals or habits that are set in place for me to be that person I need to be? We also have to be embracing exchanges and asking ourselves, what am I willing to exchange to focus and make time and create space for bigger things? We may have to exchange our, social events or commitments to certain people that no longer motivate or inspire us to be a better version of ourselves, right? What am I willing to exchange? Not give up, because you're not giving up something that you don't really want, right? But what am I willing to exchange in terms of my experiences, where I'm spending my energy, so that I'm actually spending time on the right things that make me feel good about myself, that make me feel motivated and inspired to be, creating big visions for my life in the new year. So here's where we take our final pause, okay, to reflect in part 5 of the workbook, how to prepare your path, right? A really important one to seal the deal of actually putting, your money where your mouth is in a way, right? To really construct the grounded foundations and the rituals that are necessary to achieve your goals and make those tiny actions and progress goals actually happen. So feel free to pause the video at this point here to do that exercise, or continue with me where I'm going to explain to you the next steps for your goal planning session and your dreams. So if it's time to commit to your intentions for your goals, what is the next steps for you? How do you turn these big goals into a real plan that is going to be aligned with the right actions to take for yourself, so that in 90 days, in 6 months, in 12 months, these goals are, you've created this momentum that really brings these goals into fruition. Now, this is where my genius zone comes in, where I'm able to really support you, right, in pulling out what you want, how you want to do it, and what needs to happen for you to really achieve those goals. So I have a really beautiful one-on-one experience that is one of my best work that I do with clients, which is called my 2023 Biz Planning Intensive, which is basically your personalized roadmap to create immediate results and momentum for your business goals. Because it's not only a plan that I construct for you, but a personalized strategy to achieve your goals in an intentional way that's aligned with your purpose, your values, and your strength. That's the most important part. It's not just any strategy. It takes a therapeutic approach, right? In order for me to really construct a plan that feels right for you and that's going to play up to your strengths and makes sure that the actions that we take for your business is in alignment with your values, with the way you want to operate, so that you're not starting the business journey like I did, doing a bunch of stuff I don't like, but actually doing more of what you believe are the sort of successful things you should be doing in a business, right? How you feel good and fulfilled and meaningful in your business. And we're going to choose strategies that are in alignment with that. So if 2023 is the year that you want to activate some big goals for your business, for your meaningful work focus, for changing up your lifestyle to have more control and autonomy over your time and earning potential, this is one of the most powerful sessions to do with me, because you get my full attention, not only to bring out that vision for you, but to make a plan of action that you can activate immediately instead of spending hours trying to do it on your own and feeling unclear as the months go by. Right? So to find out more about how to work with me on that, you can go to screwthecubicle.com/intensive. Now, I want to just break down quickly what I do for clients in the intensive. And if it's of interest to you, I would love to invite you to work with me. So what you're going to get in your personalized plan and roadmap is, first of all, we're going to get real clear on the ideal niche and focus for your scope of work, so that you'll love the work you're actually creating, not just something you think you have to do, but bring more creativity into your body of work, and how you're actually going to make money doing it in a way that's going to feel purposeful and profitable. And then I'm going to put my brain together to help you, or my brain with yours together, in order to help you position your services and structure, right, for how you offer those services, how you sell those offers effectively to your ideal clients. Because a lot of people have trouble with this. It's like, someone else does what I do, or it feels too generic, right? And too general in terms of a service. And what my genius zone is really help you to think about how you position that in the marketplace. How do you bring in your combination of skills and strengths to really stand out, even if people do what you do? We're also going to include a marketing plan and visibility strategies that suit your personality to get your business seen. So you'll have your own personalized way of getting your brand right in front of people, being able to share your work in front of the right audience. And I'm going to help you construct what it is that you have to do this year to get your business up and running and get your business in front of the right people that are going to invest in your services. I'm also going to include a confident content strategy, because content is what is going to get people, especially in the online world, to get to know your business, right? And a lot of people struggle with, what should I say? How should I teach? What if I give too much away, right? In order for me to attract the people that will actually pay for my services. So I'm going to be brainstorming for you your content strategy plan, so that you can build your credibility, build your reputation, and attract the right audience to your brand. And when we're able to do these 4 things for your plan, right, you're going to feel that you have a simplified plan that prioritizes your goals so that you can stop feeling overwhelmed and focus on what's truly essential to grow your business. We are going to look at this as a minimalist business plan. And what that means is that we're going to focus on just a few key things that are truly going to matter for your business success rather than doing all the things that are trendy or what other people are doing, right? And we're going to just laser focus on the right things that are going to be the domino effect for results for your business. And then you're going to figure out, right, what you want to do instead of what you think you have to do to have a successful business. And starting from that right foot, starting from that more intentional place, I tell you, it's going to make business more fun and more meaningful for you. And you're just going to walk away with a mapped out strategy. So literally, you just spend 2 hours with me on a planning session, and I will go away and bring your business vision to life and construct an action plan that's easy for you to follow and make it all happen for 2023. So what the steps that we take to do this together, once you have signed up for this session, I'm going to send you a complete goals and vision assessment to get your ideas out of your head onto paper so that I can analyze it, audit it, and prepare for our session. And then we jump on a 2-hour planning call together where you and I are going to have a collaborative experience to really think about the right strategies and the right priority of your projects to make it simple and easy and flowy for you to activate immediately. And then I will go away for a couple days and put your plan together, and I'll send you a personalized plan and roadmap that's super fun to use, really easy to understand how to create action around, and is, by the way, aesthetically fun to go through your plan. It's not going to look like a boring 25-page business plan. They're all going to be clickable. There's resources and videos there to help you through every step. And most importantly, you're going to know exactly what to do next, right? To activate your dreams. And then the work doesn't stop there. Once I give you your personalized plan, we will work together for 2 full weeks for me to coach you, mentor you, and hold you accountable in the actions you take to kick off your plan. That's going to be the biggest part to help you stick to your plan, is having me in your corner to help you with all the questions, insights. I'll give you my decades worth of experience of how to do things better, and you're going to be having me as your business sidekick for 2 weeks to activate your plan. So if this sounds like something that is going to be so supportive for you, and you just have a feeling that you need this help and all you want to invest in is those 2 hours of planning with me, and then you get your personalized plan and roadmap, well, this is going to be one of the most powerful one-on-one sessions you get to do with me this year. So go check it out. Go learn more about what I cover in the intensive by going to screwthecubicle.com/intensive. And I am so excited to work with you to activate your goals, but also make sure that you have a plan that's going to be exciting, confident, and something that you can't wait to start when we're done with an intensive like this, right? And you get to start a brand new year without endless weeks and months of research, right? And guessing what you think you should do. We can do this together, and I cannot wait to work with you. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for today's workshop to activate your 2023 goals. And I hope that you've learned something valuable of how you take some of these goals into some doable actions and how to think about meaningful goals in a way that feels in alignment with who you are. Thank you so much for joining me.